Good evening, faithful. Glad to be back. I mean, it's been 13 days since I did a live stream. That is the longest I've gone without talking to fellow faithful over the YouTube airwaves in over a year. And I missed it, judging by the number of emails and tweets and reaching out. I guess that people missed me. It was a mutual missing. It was terrible. Let me tell you, I am very, very glad to be back. A lot of things happened in between. I'll get into that in just a moment. Appreciate all of you that are here early, as always, this later time. I mean, we're looking at a time slot that is completely out of left field. Here we are in the middle of the night. It's a weird time for a mailbag, but nevertheless, we are doing it, and I appreciate the enthusiasm. Raphael 5629er Sneakerhead here on the channel says, "What's up, Rob, Sneakerheads, and everyone?" Terry Wright coming in. Glad to see you're feeling better. What is in store for the bye week? Some bye week shenanigans. We'll be talking about the Niners sitting here at 4-4. Let me call out 4-4 as predicted at the beginning of the year. I'm not taking total credit for that, obviously, though, because I did get the games wrong, but was right about sitting at 2-2 and then again at 4-4 going into the bye. Dustin Kohler in the house showing some love. Appreciate that, Dustin. Devin coming in. Rob, was starting to get worried about you. Glad to see you're back to doing your show. I am back. The energy is here. I am feeling better. We will talk about that. Sound Grips comes in. Let's freaking go, Niners. Yes, need the energy. E. Kim coming in to say, "Hey, Rob, appreciate it." E. Kim. All right, here we go. Raphael 562 knows the drill. And just for those of you that are watching, let me give you the rundown of how the mailbag works. So we're sitting here in the bye week. We're talking about whatever topics you want to bring to the table. Those that previously submitted questions, those that sent in questions beforehand, those questions will be thrown up on the screen, but we will bounce back and forth between those previously submitted questions and the questions that are asked live here in the chat. So if you're here live in the chat, do me that favor and type in the @Rob before you put in your question so that I know you're talking to me. And do me another favor, hit that like button. Help me amplify the message on this off-the-wall time, because we may be looking at some later start times for a lot of shows going forward. I'm going to talk to you about that in just a moment. The question here from Raphael 5629ers is, Rob, thoughts on Mr. Do-It-All, CMC? When we talked about the potential of trading for Christian McCaffrey before it happened, I was on board with that. Much more on board with trading for Christian McCaffrey than for Brian Burns. It made more sense to me. It was a better fit, and you have him under contract for a little bit. Now, it clearly is an expensive price to be paid for a running back. And I've seen a lot of people talking about how the 49ers, Kyle Shanahan specifically, you'll have to forgive me. I'm gonna have to stay hydrated. The throat is still not completely recovered. And so you have Kyle Shanahan, obviously, with Christian McCaffrey there. That's a pretty significant piece for the 49ers. I have to think that it is enough value for the 49ers to have paid what they did. Again, back to the idea of, hey, you can throw anybody in there, a 6th-round draft pick, an undrafted running back. I get that. But I think we have to acknowledge that Christian McCaffrey is special. I mean, real special. And that's evidenced by the stat line he was able to put up there on the last game against the Rams. Lester San Jose Sneakerhead here on the channel coming in. Rob, hope you're feeling better. I appreciate that. I am. DJ Molly, life's good. Rob, 49ers win. All's better. I'm here for that. Here for the Niners winning. I mean, if there was a time to miss, if there were 13 days to miss in this season, it was right around that KC game. It was right around the birthday. Let me tell you, Spy Nick Danger is in the house doing the deed, asking folks to hit the like button. Ellis 10 Sneakerhead here on the channel. One Bad Niner coming in to say he's glad I'm back. Hey, I am too. All right, we got a couple of other comments that we will get into. Again, want to talk about the topics that you have in mind. So if you are here, go ahead and throw that in. But I did have a couple of topics that I wanted to hit first before we get into the previously submitted mailbag questions, giving you guys just a little bit of an update on everything, right? We had the well wishes pouring in. So first and foremost, I want to say thank you to everybody for reaching out, checking on me. A lot has happened since the last time I was on 13 days ago. What has happened? First, I turned 44 and I got my ass tossed from a horse. Yeah, I'm not kidding about that one. I went out on my 44th birthday and was riding along, genuinely got thrown on my ass, cracked my head open a little bit, got a nice welt and a bit of a scab back here from foolishly turning down the helmet. When they ask you if you want a helmet when you're riding a horse, if you have very little horse riding experience, say yes. Don't let the ego get in the way. Don't let pride get in the way. I am lucky to be standing here today. Honestly, a couple of inches in a different direction, and this dude right here would have been a vegetable for the rest of my life. So feeling pretty fortunate that it turned out the way that it did. Got some serious bruises in some weird shapes, like a freaking 9-inch bruise just lengthwise on one of my legs. No idea what rock or part of the horse that came from, but it was an interesting experience, let me just say. Got back on the horse immediately got right back on and finished the ride, probably because I was concussed at that point and didn't know any better. Someone told me to get back onto the horse, and I listened. So that's my birthday. Goes swimmingly. And then COVID kicks my ass. Literally, the birthday's Friday. I wake up Saturday in the middle of the night with this splitting headache. And I just think to myself, that's probably from the rock that hit me in the back of the head when I got thrown off of the freaking horse that bucked me. No, turned out it was COVID. Woke up a few hours after that with uncontrollable shivers. And it really it kicked my ass. It fully kicked my ass. I had it once before, and it was a joke when I had it. Omicron was super mild when I had that. That was right around the Green Bay game. Actually, the last time that we played the Rams last year. I won't even talk about that. This one drained all my energy for a freaking week. I could just tell my body was fighting something major at the time. And then lastly, to add on top of getting thrown from a horse on your birthday, getting COVID the day after your birthday, I took a new position that, let's be honest, is probably going to force me to lighten up on the number of shows that I have going forward just a little bit. But I'm not going anywhere. I want to be clear about that. Just because I may have to change the time of some of these shows, just because I may not be able to get in 6, 7 shows in a week, the Mailbag show is not going anywhere. The post-game shows are not going anywhere. Between Two Beards is not going anywhere. The time with Jack is not going anywhere. We will make these things happen, but I do want to be upfront about the schedule potentially moving around a little bit. So for those of you that follow the show religiously, it is appreciated if you do come in, hang out in the show, hit the like button, help me get that amplified message out to a new group of people that are watching at a different time. But I'm telling you, it will continue to come out. By the way, I appreciate some of these comments coming in. Kim Adams saying that you missed me. I appreciate that. Sean 9519ers, appreciate you reaching out as well. Bang, bang, Niner gang. Appreciate everybody. Those well wishes really meant a lot. I am going to have to work around that new schedule. I will keep you guys posted. But again, the shows aren't going anywhere. Now, I do want to talk about something specific here that was a continuation. Let me make sure that I've got my setup ready for this. A continuation of a random occurrence. JMac49, going back to what JMac49 did, where he sent in a photograph of he and his daughter. And I just really dug it. I dug the energy that it conveyed. And I reached out for some other freaking photos. Now, we had a little time off in between those photos. So we haven't gotten to those, but I haven't forgotten about it either. And I'd rather put those photos up after a freaking win. And I think that's the tradition we're going to try and make here. So you're going to see some energy of some Niner faithful that shared with me, and I'm sharing with you. And I hope that we can continue that going forward, celebrating the wins as they come. Because let's be honest, there's going to be some significant wins coming up. We ain't going nowhere. All right, so this is, again, before I get into the mailbag, I'm going to take this moment to show off some of these photos. The first one here is from Shark. Shark sent in a photo of the Inland Empire faithful. Shout out to the Inland Empire chapter of the 49er faithful. Absolutely love the energy. Love the fact that people are getting together. I had on the books a chance to go down to the Salem chapter and watch the Rams game with them, but I was still out for the count. But I am going to make that happen. Hopefully coming up after the bye when we are playing the Chargers. Love the fact that we have the faithful out there in force. Next one we have coming up is Gabriel V and his daughter. Again, love the family images. To me, they're just spectacular to see that. This was a good one, man. This is his first 49er game. Lucky to have his daughter there with him and got a win. 49ers versus Seahawks there at Levi's Stadium. Gabriel, I appreciate you sharing that. This next one is a funny one that comes in from Russ with a little bit of a story to it because it's not all 49er faithful, even though it looks like it. He says, this picture is special. It shows why my nephew's wife on the right and my wife on the left are better partners than we are. Both women are Cowboy fans. Not in a million years would my nephew or I be caught dead in Cowboys gear. That's just, the ladies are bigger than both of you, right? They are clearly better people. I am not that good of a person. Clearly, your wife and your nephew's wife, very good people, very good partners, very supportive partners. I'm with you. Couldn't be caught dead in that Cowboys gear unless I lost some sort of a bet. But I love the fact that they were supportive enough to throw that in. Then we go one step further with Russ, wherein he gives us a view of a fifth generation 49er faithful. I mean, just too cute. Just too cute to put up there. And lastly, but certainly not least, you know him, you love him, Jack Hammer. Ladies and gentlemen, Jack Hammer and his oldest son, who is now a freaking high school graduate, are at Levi's Stadium in this photograph for Jimmy Garoppolo's first ever home start. I'm here for the photos. Anyone else that wants to send in their celebration photos, whether it's now or after the next win, send them in to 49ers mailbag at gmail.com, or you can hit me up on Twitter. 49ers mailbag at gmail.com is the easiest way for me to track those photos and be able to put them up here. I would really love to be able to show some of these photos week in, week out, celebrating wins together, one another. So appreciate everybody sending in those photos. The Inland Empire, Shark, appreciate it. Gabriel, Russ, Jack, everybody. Thank you so much for sending those in. All right, wanted to definitely touch on the simple fact that we are looking at a moment of silence here for John McVay, passing at age 91, obviously living to a ripe old age, and we can all only hope so much. But a few words from Matt Mayoko's article, description of McVay. He came to the 49ers along with Pro Football Hall of Fame coach Bill Walsh in 1979. He originally served as the team's director of player personnel. Over his 22-year tenure with the organization, McVay held a variety of front office positions, including vice president and general manager. McVay was named NFL Executive of the Year in 1989 by the Sporting News, following the 49ers' fourth Super Bowl title. McVay was an executive with the 49ers for each of their 5 Super Bowl wins. The 49ers statement, most importantly, John was a Hall of Fame person who built genuine and sincere relationships with front office staff, coaches, and players. John's commitment and contributions to the 49ers created the standard and tradition we strive to carry on today. Our thoughts and prayers are with the McVay family. Most importantly, my apologies, that was a repeat there of that one. But yes, we are, in fact, going to take a moment of silence for John McVay and for his family and for the 49ers organization as they do honor the passing of John McVay. All right. A celebration of life. I'm a big fan of celebrations of life. I hope that when I pass, people celebrate the fact that I was here. If you ever find out that Rob Shue didn't make it until tomorrow, just know that I'd rather you celebrate my life and not be sad, and realize that everybody's got to pass at some point, and it was an honor to be here. I appreciate all of you that are here in the chat as well. All right, looking at those @Rob comments. Before we get into the mailbag, want to check off a couple of your live comments as well here. All right, Devin coming in. Rob, how do you feel about only getting a 5th-round pick for Jeff Wilson Jr.? I got to say, a running back on an expiring deal, a 5th-round pick, especially with the way in which the 49ers are able to make use of 5th-round picks, a 5th-round pick feels like a very good deal for an expiring contract, a running back on the last year of an expiring contract. I think we were lucky that Mike McDaniel is as attached to Jeff Wilson Jr. or as well acquainted with him as he is. One bad Niner. Rob Shue. Rob, we're 4-4. Is there anyone still out there who can help us? I'm worried about our cornerback situation. As am I, but we still do have hope. We still have Jason Verrett in the wings. I am still optimistic that Verrett is going to make his return this season and that he will contribute at a high level close to where he was able to contribute in 2020. I'm not certain that he's going to be able to fill in at the same caliber that Emmanuel Mosley was playing, because that was quite spectacular, but he is capable of it. So I believe that is where we must hang our hopes, at least for the cornerback position. I do not have an anticipation that we bring in a cornerback at this time. Sean 9519ers, Rob, that Bronco got you 2 times in Denver, and now your birthday. Yes, it did. In fairness, the person that I was riding with would be quick to point out that the horse I was riding on my birthday may have been closer to a pony than a Bronco. That's just me and my ego having to let you know there. George coming in. Rob Shue, I'm glad you're okay, my man. I sent prayers your way. Thank you. I appreciate everybody who reached out. Honestly, that was fantastic. Alan, appreciate you reaching out as well. Says, welcome back, my man. It is good to be back. Love that. Ellis 10, sending the love. Appreciate it. Absolutely. Jaguayo 56, sneakerhead here on the channel. Rob Shue, I am so glad you're back, my friend. I missed your level-headed approach. Jaguayo, I have missed talking to you as well. I really look forward to catching up with the sneakerheads, reading all of the chats. I'm telling you, this community is something very special to me. And to have you guys reach out when I'm gone for a little bit, it means a whole lot to me personally as well. Sean 9519ers 951 Inland Empire, my hood, celebrating. Sean, we got to get you in that photo. We got to get you in with the Inland Empire. That's awesome, man. Ken Fashion Journey says, Rob, 49ers evenings is not the same without you on the air. Glad that you are back. Ken Fashion Journey, thank you for that. That's very kind. And hey, there could be some late night Niners coming in. Sean 9519ers, I need to find that one and put it up. Green Bay 2018. Now that you say it, I absolutely remember it. I need to get that image in there. Sean, make sure that I do not forget that one, because come a week from today, I may have slipped my mind, but I do not want it to. That was a good pick. Ellis 10 says, where do we need to send the pick? 49ers mailbag at gmail.com. You can send a picture there at any point. You can also hit me up in the DMs on Twitter or just tweet it directly at me. However, then everybody gets to see it. So if you want it to be revealed on the show, send it to 49ers mailbag at gmail.com. Terry coming in, bro. So glad you're back. Need to hear your positivity. Too much negativity out there. I had a feeling it might have been dark while I was gone, especially that first week after KC. If I'm honest, I'm glad I didn't have to talk about the 49ers that week. That was painful. That was just straight painful. Then we come back and we take it out on the Rams. That makes you feel better. But I'm going to get into it. I'm still on the fence right now about just how optimistic we should be at this point. Jaguayo 56 says, rest in peace, Mr. McVay. Condolences to the McVay family. Absolutely. Absolutely. Kevin comes in to say, shout out to Jack's kid. They might have lost, but glad he got to see his cherub after doing the post-game analysis. Rob Shue, celebrations of life indeed. Kevin, Good to see you on here. Yes, shout out to Jack and his son for that photo. I absolutely love it. The memories that I have of going to 49ers games when I was younger with my brother and especially with my father are ones that I just hold very dear to my heart. They are the reason that I'm as passionate about the 49ers as I am. My brain wired together that experience of spending time with my father, going to games, spending time with my brother, going to games, and the joy of football. And it's great to watch that for future generations. Just inspires me. Devin, Rob, what are your thoughts about only getting a 5th-round pick? We got to that one. All right. We have got previously submitted questions in here. We will be back. I love this comment. JT, I'm with you on it. It's a little bit of deja vu from last year. He says, we're gearing up for another strong second half. I've got the Niners going 7-2 down the stretch. That was the prediction I made before the year, and I'm sticking with it. I'm nervous about that. I'm a little bit nervous about that, if I'm honest. I agree with 420 Savage here. Yes, Verrett has to be back in that tip-top form, or at least some reasonable proximity of it. If he is, watch the frick out. Tom Jensen in the building. Sneakerhead here on the channel. Tom, good to see you. Thank you. He says, Rob, great to have you back. Get better. Be sure to make it to 45. Agreed on Verrett. In my opinion, no ring without him. I'm with you there. Unless this offense can somehow find another gear and be consistent, which it doesn't seem they can, the defense is going to still have to carry this team on some level. And in order to do that, they will need a second cornerback capable of playing in reasonable proximity to E-Man. And pardon me, I got that thing coming up. I'm telling you, it may have to be a short mailbag. I will say, I think Verrett is capable of delivering. It's just a question, and Tom knows this better than anybody. It's just a question of whether, after all of those injuries, whether or not he can come back and be a bit of what we saw in 2020. And that's absolutely up for debate. Kevin, positivity. Let's go. It's all about the positivity. It is all about it. All right, let's get into the mailbag. These are some previously submitted questions. I've been waiting on them. Here we go. K-Fig comes in. He says, we've been pretty inconsistent the first half of this season. Has our offense finally figured it out? No, I'm not convinced that they have, K-Fig, but they've added another unstoppable weapon capable of winning games all on his own in Christian McCaffrey. Add that to Deebo Samuel, and you have 2 guys on offense that can take over a game. The problem is neither of those guys is guaranteed to touch the ball on any given offensive play. The weak link on the team is the QB. Until Trey Lance is back behind center and has picked up his game to the next level, then you know that Jimmy Garoppolo is that weak link on offense. And I'm not going to bash Jimmy because he had a phenomenal game against the Rams, and he's capable of having phenomenal games. But we know who Jimmy is, and that's not terribly consistent nor incredibly capable. He is a good quarterback. He's very capable with this offense of winning a lot of games, and he's capable of giving a game away out of the blue. Just out of the blue, just tossing it to the other team for no perceptible reason. And so I think that, to me, that is the trickiest part here is you've basically assembled a super team on offense when it comes to skill position players. I mean, quite honestly, go through it. It's really staggering. Elijah Mitchell is now your backup running back. Christian McCaffrey is your freaking running back. And oh, by the way, you got a fullback in Juice, who's just the best in the league, regardless of the fact that nobody's using fullbacks. Like, everybody could have fullbacks. Juice would still be the best fullback in the league. Let's be real about that. George Kittle, one of the best tight ends in the league. We've already mentioned Deebo Samuel, but I'll throw Deebo Samuel in there again. Brandon Ayuk, Jawan Jennings, Ray McLeod showing some things. Haven't seen much out of Danny Gray to this point. Probably a mismatch with that weaker link that we were talking about just a moment ago. But I look at this skill position group, and it feels like you should be able to plug in almost anyone at the quarterback position. And that's why it is a bit maddening to watch those inconsistent performances, is to believe that you could put in a Nick Mullins or a CJ Beathard, and yet you still have those games wherein Jimmy Garoppolo just doesn't seem to be capable of hitting the players as needed to execute in this offense. All right, let us get into the next one here. This comes in from Aaron. Says, why can't the 49ers play like this every week? Again, we're talking consistency. What's stopping them from accomplishing it? We have proven to be able to do it, but only perform when it matters the most. Welcome back. Thank you very much, first and foremost, for the welcome back comments. It is great to be back. It's the lack of consistency that's stopping them. The Niners are maddeningly inconsistent on offense, and I blame two people, Kyle Shanahan and Jimmy Garoppolo. Kyle gets the blame for creating a vibe, a freaking aura where perfection or close to it is needed to run this offense. It's like a fine Italian sports car. That is the analogy I'm going with. When it's finely tuned, it's a thing of beauty. The problem is it's in the shop for repairs every other freaking week. I'm not willing to blame injuries for our offensive inconsistencies like I would on the other side of the ball. I do think that injuries have greatly factored into the defense. But we're talking about the fact that this inconsistency issue is true even when everyone is healthy, even with Trey back there. So it wasn't a Jimmy G problem. It wasn't a Trey-specific problem, and it seems to be prevalent regardless. So why do I include Jimmy then as well? Because as I said just a moment ago, he can manage to completely sidetrack a game that would otherwise be easy to win. I do have the 49ers going 7-2 down the stretch. That means that the defense is literally going to have to win some games that Jimmy tries to give away. That's just a fact. I do not believe that out of 9 games, Jimmy will only have 2 that are frustratingly inconsistent. I think it will be greater than that. And therefore, the defense will have to step up in those instances. All right, I'm continuing on with one more of the previously submitted questions because I can sense in my voice that I may lose it at some point. This may have to be a shorter show because of the health, and if I just start coughing like a madman at some point. So Raphael comes in with this one. He says, what do you grade the 49ers so far this season? I'm averaging everything out here, Raphael, to a B total. I'm still thrilled with this defense, and I'd attribute our difficulties more to that injury concern that I just mentioned moments ago than anything else. Yes, we got massively outplayed against Kansas City, sure, but that was Andy Reid running a clinic, and once the game gets away from you, guys make business decisions. I know we'd like to pretend that, hey, you're going to fight tooth and nail regardless of whether you're down, but you're down multiple scores and you feel like you're out of the game. All of a sudden, you start thinking about next week. You start thinking about, hey, I don't want to be one of those guys on IR. So I believe those business decisions do happen. The game against KC got out of hand, and that led to it looking worse than it was. Don't get me wrong. I mean, back-to-back weeks, you're talking about Atlanta and KC, where it was not pretty. But the loss of Eric Armstead is huge along that defensive line, and I refuse to believe otherwise. I think that we'll see evidence of just how important that is when we begin to return to health coming off of the bye. So I'm still in the A-, B+ range for the defense because we bounced back all over LA, still with a lot of those injuries out there, and we were all over them. Now, that's partially because it's a great matchup, partially because we get up to play them, but you also have to give the defense credit. I do think it's closer to what we were talking about in the beginning of the year to being a very special unit, although it is fair to point out that unless they close out the season amazingly strong, the comparisons to the 85 Bears and things of that nature may have been overblown. We shall see. I still believe that this is one of, if not the best defense in the league. Special teams, that's a mixed bag for me. Still seem to struggle with the kickoffs, and that's pretty maddening. Just can't get the coverage there. But with Wishnowsky and other improvements, I'm still in the B+ range here. The offense is the weak link. There's so much talent now, but yet we still seem to be capable of terrible performances, even though we have enough skill players that it feels as though Kyle Shanahan should literally be able to go out there and play quarterback himself. Do you think that he would? If Kyle could get away with going out there and playing quarterback himself, Do you think that he would? Because I kind of feel like maybe he would. I think maybe he would get a real thrill out of that. So I average all of those together, and I'm coming out with a B to this point. Again, 4-4 is what I expected the Niners to be sitting at when they got to the bye. They didn't win the games I thought they'd win. They didn't lose the games I thought they'd lose. But 4-4 is where I thought they'd sit, and it's where they actually sit. Can they get that 7-2 stretch? I don't know. I was predicting that because of Trey Lance having matured within the role and taking the next step as a quarterback. Do I believe that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be more consistent, that he's going to grow within the offense? I'm not so sure about that. We did add enough pieces that, again, he should be able to operate this offense successfully. All right, getting back into your comments here live in the chat. Again, do me that favor and type in @Rob or @RobShoe before the comment like one bad Niner did. Says Rob Shoe, how do you think our draft will go next year? All late round picks. I mean, there's some positivity to it. The 49ers, let's see if we can pull up what the actual picks are. Matt Mayoko here. That's funny. I just pulled up Twitter and someone had reposted this video. So I was watching myself talk live on Twitter in the background. Very strange, very distracting. I may say so myself. All right, let's see if Matt Mayoko has done us the kindness of tweeting out the 49ers draft picks as of recently. Of course not. He's just got so many other tweets out there that there is no way I will find it. Let's see. I'm stalling. I mean, if you can't tell that I'm stalling at this point, then we've got problems here. All right, I can't get to the draft picks to tell you exactly who the 49ers have, but they do have a compensatory third, right? And they have the extra fifth that they got. So they do have some draft picks in there, just no early round draft picks. No early round, but who needs them? When you've got Christian McCaffrey, when you've got Trey Lance, these are what you're giving up those picks to get, and I'm all for it. I thought the price paid for Christian McCaffrey was appropriate. I truly still believe in the moves that we have made. And it's evidenced by just how well this team has been able to weather the storm to this point. 420 Savage does point out the 49ers still have 2/3 and a fifth now. The only loss from McCaffrey was a second round pick. I need to get into who actually, which picks we actually do have so that I can list that out for you. DJ Molly, going back to that Italian sports car analogy that I was talking about, says, Rob, a smooth running engine takes finesse and patience to hear her purr. Take your time to recover. We'll back you with prayers. Thank you, DJ Molly. Yes, you need a soft hand when it comes to these fine Italian motors, right? You can't over adjust things. Can't be tightening too much. I don't even know where I'm going with that. The Stivers Niners 209 show. Rob, sorry I'm late. You're the best. Cheers for the Niners win. I'm glad you're feeling better. Drink a lot of Gatorade. The Niners have to beat the Chargers at home, and we're going to Mexico City. Beat the Chargers at Levi's. On to Mexico City. I'm telling you. 420 Savage says, I'm rooting for Kinlaw comeback along with Armstead. That's a big one as well. Both of those guys along the interior, very important. Stovey, 4x4ing. Yo, fam. Good to see everybody. It's just good to say hello to people that I'm seeing here in the chat. Bryant Culp included. Sneakerhead here on the channel says, glad you're back, Rob. I appreciate it. JT pointing out, I still remember your 11-6 prediction. You might be right. Hey, I had it sitting at 4-4 at the break. So that's where we are. Got to go 7-2 down the stretch. And that is tough. That is legitimately tough, but very doable when you look at the schedule. Very doable. Cisco, 1946. Rob Shoe, I get off of work at 5 p.m. and always look forward to your show. In your absence, I've had to listen to other 49ers content creators, and it just hasn't been the same. Welcome back. That makes me smile. I love all the other 49ers creators out there. Nothing against anyone that's out there. Maybe one or two people that are out there. But most of them I love and love collaborating with, and they put out fantastic content And Cisco, it warms my heart to hear you say that you happen to prefer Rob Shoe's content. I'll take it. Leo coming in here, sneakerhead on the channel, says, hey, Rob, welcome back. Missed you. Loving the dynamic CMC is bringing. Isn't that something else? The dude is just special. Michael Salazar, sneakerhead here on the channel. Rob, D'Amico is an amazing defensive mind. Great play calls. But one of the things I've seen is a more undisciplined defense, not containing edges, flags, and some blown coverages. Am I crazy? I haven't noticed this myself, Michael, but I will say that the containing of edges feels like it's been an issue for the 49ers going back to the Robert Saleh era. It's hard to say. In the more recent games, I would attribute the undisciplined nature to missing some key players. When you're down 4 or 5 starters on defense, super hard to continue to look disciplined, to continue to be schematically sound. I will keep my eye on this, though, Michael. Honestly, it had not presented itself to me, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're crazy. I think you may be onto something, and we just got to keep our eye on it. I just have to hold up. Let me see if Red Eye explains himself there. That's an interesting one. Red Eye, good day to you. You're blocked. Bye-bye. Ellis 10 coming in. Mailbag picture sent. I can't wait to see more pictures. I'm all about it. I am all about. All right. The Stivers Niners 209 show. Rob, I think that the Eagles will play for the first seed. They will go undefeated all season. And guess what? The Niners will go to the second seed. And guess what? Our record will be 13-4. Undefeated the rest of the season for the Niners. That's a bold prediction. I do think it is fair to say the Eagles are primed for that number 1 seed. I do not predict they go undefeated. That's real hard to do. Andre coming in. Hi, Rob. Good to have some of that shoe time back again. CMC edition has jolted life back into the season. That triple was astonishing. Stay well. I'm hoping to stay well. I'm hoping getting COVID right before the holidays was a blessing in disguise, that I'm going to get to go through Thanksgiving and Christmas without having to worry about it. I got a lot of travel coming up on the books, and I'm glad not to have to worry, I hope, about catching anything again. Silverado Kev coming in. He says, Rob Shoe, I know I'd be on Jimmy's helmet like a decal, but he looked good Sunday. After his few missed layups and almost pick, can he stack those performances? Play like Sunday gives the D needed rest. Silverado Kev, man, I'm with you on the fact that Jimmy looked good against the Rams. I think it has a lot to do with confidence for Jimmy. And I fault Kyle Shanahan, again, for creating this atmosphere of like, you got to be perfect. That may work and Remember the Titans, but this ain't Disney. This is real life, and nothing's perfect. And Jimmy ain't perfect. And I feel like that pressure that gets applied to him, it doesn't work well with his personality type. There are quarterbacks out there who would respond to that, no problem. And I would love to have one of those quarterbacks. We don't have one of those. We have Jimmy Garoppolo. And Kyle Shanahan has to adjust to the fact that Jimmy Garoppolo is his freaking quarterback. So can he play like that on a more consistent basis? Yes, I believe so. Can he do it every Sunday? I think you and I both know the answer to that one, Kev. 420 Savage, Rob Shoe, you still think Odell Beckham Jr. would be a good pickup? I think he's an improvement over Jennings. I do. You could just keep adding pieces to this offense. Again, you still have the weak link. And that to me is the conundrum. You can continue to add these skill players. And honestly, if you've got them for multiple years, it adds to Trey's advantage when he comes back next year as well. So I'm for it. I don't know that that's going to tip us over the edge there. Raphael pointing out they may be late in the draft, but the Niners have 9 picks. And Michael's coming back in to say, also, welcome back. Ooh, look at this. We got Tom Jensen coming in to point out round 3 compensatory, round 3 compensatory, round 5 via Miami, round 7 via Denver for that trade for the linebacker last year. So the 5th rounder we picked up in the trade for Jeff Wilson Jr. that just happened with Miami. The 7th rounder was from Denver. And then the 3rd compensatory coming back are from the minority hires that occurred from Kyle Shanahan's staffs. I agree with this statement. Christian McCaffrey is a badass. There's no doubt about it. He's also a magician. The whole defense follows him. I like it. G-Bone Patron in the house. All right, Silverado Kev is back in. Silverado Kev, we got to get a collab going soon, my friend. A collab. I always say collab wrong. Collaboration. He says, Rob Shue, having both Debo and Christian McCaffrey on the field together is ideally what we'd want to maximize the dual threat ability. I think it's important to have either on the field individually as a Jimmy outlet. It should. Michael Irvin was talking about this, is watching the response of the Rams defense to Christian McCaffrey must just be spectacular for Debo. He's got to say to himself, I am going to feast. If you're going to cover Christian McCaffrey in the way in which you did against Los Angeles, I am going to absolutely crush defenses. And if they won't guard Christian McCaffrey like that, then he's going to continue to destroy defenses. It is a great conundrum to have for the offense, for the opposing defenses. Rohan coming in. Good evening, Rob Shue. What's your thoughts on the 49ers trade deadline? Hey, I am happy with the move for Christian McCaffrey, happy with the trade for Jeff Wilson Jr. I understand people being cautious about, hey, Jeff Wilson Jr. may be one of the healthier backs capable of staying healthy throughout the season. And you can't afford to let some of that depth go. I get that. But, man, a running back on an expiring deal for a fifth rounder, that feels like a home run to me. And quite honestly, if we yet again lose Christian McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell for the season at some point, then we just were not destined to win this year. And I don't think the 49ers are in any way cursed in that fashion. I just think that we've had a run of bad luck. And the good news about that is that eventually that shit's going to run out. Let's see. Jaguayo 56 Sneakerhead here on the channel says, Rob, keep resting, drink your fluids, get your sleep so you can get your energy up. Stay blessed. I appreciate it. I do need to continue drinking the fluids. Scott Hill, Sneakerhead here on the channel says, what's up, Rob? I hope we get Armstead back after the bye. I do too. Joey Jenkins, yes, it is. Joey says, Rob, that COVID is a bitch. Yes, it is. It was horrific. It was indeed. Dirk Pippin in the house. Sneakerhead here on the channel. Yo, Sneakerhead fam. Dirk, I'm glad to be back, man. Glad to be back. And yes, the vibes are in fact high at this point. Randall Riley with Dirk Pippin coming in. Pippin ain't easy. I absolutely love the banter that we have going back and forth in the chat of this freaking channel. You guys lift me up on the regular. And I just want to say thank you for that. I know I take a lot of freaking time out to thank you guys. It's real. It is not me blowing smoke. It is not hyperbole. It is not exaggeration, man. You guys pick up my spirits. I hope that that's what I can do for you as well. I hope that the positivity I try to channel for the 49ers here on this YouTube channel is beneficial to you. What I can say is the positivity you bring back is absolutely beneficial to me. The Stivers Niners 209 show. Rob, cheers on a good show. Stay faithful to the Bay. The Niners beat the Rams at SoFi. We call it Levi's South. Let's go, Niners. Big Niner games. Let's go, baby. Just win, baby. Hey, I'm here to just win. We just got to get a couple in a row now. Ken Fashion Journey. Rob, I can only think of 3 coaches that can draw out the plays to max out Christian McCaffrey's potential. Andy Reid, Kyle Shanahan, and Mike McDaniel. Those are 3 legitimate names there. And I do believe Kyle Shanahan is capable of it. Fingers crossed. Let's make this into something special. Let's say that we pushed all our chips into the middle of the table for something big. Let's get the 6th damn Lombardi this year. Let's bring it home. Because love always wins. Michael Salazar, Sneakerhead here on the channel. Rob, they may also be high on the other 2 rookies, TDP and Jordan Mason, whether they're getting touches or not. That's a great point. that they feel secure in knowing if something happens, they can go to TDP. They can put Jordan Mason in there. That's a great call out, Michael. Lester, San Jose, Sneakerhead here on the channel says, Rob Shue, did you think that CMC and Jimmy G were able to establish that backyard ball chemistry that quickly? I'll tell you what, if it's one thing that Jimmy Garoppolo seems capable of, it is that backyard football style. Look back to 2017, right? Those 5 games. It was Jimmy slinging it around the yard. And Christian McCaffrey referenced that. He's like, hey, man, Jimmy's a football player. And sometimes you just got to make football plays. And that's what Jimmy did there. I feel like that bodes well. When you get a sense that an offensive skill player of Christian McCaffrey's talent level is on the same page as your quarterback and is a capable outlet pass, is someone that can just be that safety valve. And oh, by the way, you're adding him to the mix with Deebo Samuel, with Elijah Mitchell, with George Kittle, with Brandon Ayuk. So yeah, it was surprising. And at the same time, not entirely. All right, we got a couple more previously submitted questions here as well. Lionel coming in here says, with CMC looking like a reliable safety net for Jimmy G, we were just talking about this past Sunday, do you think our passing offense will continue to have success similar to the Rams game going forward? So this is a combination answer for me, yes and no. Christian McCaffrey is like Deebo, hard to stop even when you know he's coming. So now we do have 2 players capable of taking over the game. But as we covered earlier in this program, the weak link is still the quarterback. And I'm not trying to bash Jimmy Garoppolo here. I think those of you that know me know I have a fairly measured approach on Jimmy. I put him where I think he legitimately is as far as quarterback talent, in that 15 to 20 range when it comes to best quarterbacks in the NFL. And this season, quite honestly, I might even say he's closer to that 15 range than the 20 with how some of those players out there are playing. I'm looking at you, Derek Carr. But it still is the weak link. And I'd be lying if I said I didn't have my concerns that, again, he will have one of those games where maddeningly he just seems to give it away. But when Deebo and McCaffrey are healthy, this offense should have zero excuses for a poor performance. It's just, honestly, those players of that talent. It's like when you have Cooper Kupp on the Rams. Like, you might stop everyone else. Cooper's still getting his, right? Cooper's still going to have a day. Same thing for Deebo Samuel. He's usually getting his, even if it's not enough to sway the tide. But when you look at having both Christian McCaffrey and Deebo, there's no excuses. You should be able to have, as Kev was saying earlier, you should be able to have one on the field at all times as a safety valve for Deebo, as a safety valve for Jimmy G. And the opposing defenses can only really properly cover one. And so it should open it up for the other guy. Between those two, they should eat. I'm just not confident in this offense and their ability to play without shooting themselves in the foot consistently. So that's where I have to say no in this instance. That no, we can't be super consistent week in, week out. We have too many self-inflicted wounds to be super confident. I hope they can look like that each week. They should be able to look like that each week. They have enough talent to look like that each week. And that's why it is important to say that, hey, if they cannot start to get there by the end of this season, if they cannot look consistent, given the number of skill position players that they have, assuming health, because that's just bad luck, and I'm not going to count it. I know some out there will count that against the 49ers. I believe that that's just the nature of the NFL. But if we can stay healthy, there's no excuse for them not to get to that level of consistency. And if they cannot, if this offense by the end of this year with all of that talent does not look spectacular, I will legitimately begin to question Kyle Shanahan. And those that know me know that I've not been there yet. I certainly will criticize him as a head coach, but I do view him as a wildly intelligent offensive mind. I do not shy away from the offensive genius label. I understand the criticism of that because of what we see on the field. I get why people get angry at hearing, well, if he's a damn offensive genius, then why don't we see it week in and week out? If we don't get there by the end of this year, given the players that we have on this team, I also will have to have greater questions than I do to this point. And then we've got our last question here from Raphael. This one comes in. He says, do the Niners sign a free agent, possibly Ndamukong Suh? This is not the first time that I've heard Ndamukong Suh's name floated. Clearly, it is around Twitter. We're having depth issues along that interior of the defensive line. And it seemed like that could be a pretty good fit. The answer to this, my gut says, is no. The Niners are about to get much healthier, hopefully, over this bye week. We may get both Kinlaw and Eric Armstead back. I'm losing the voice. Over the bye week. We really did need that help along the defensive line these past weeks. So if we're about to get healthy and we needed it before that, but they didn't add Suh at that point, then I guess my logic is I'm not seeing a reason to change that and pull the trigger now. If you're starting to get healthy, like the time to have done it would have been 2 weeks ago before the KC game. That may have added some value for the 49ers. When they didn't pull the trigger then, and now you've seen the resurgence and this defense is about to get healthier, there just doesn't seem to be the same motivation. Now, an injury along the line could absolutely change that at any point. But my question in the logic was, if it was going to happen, wouldn't it have happened already? And because it hasn't, I am going to view that answer as no. All right, I'm closing this one out in the live chat. Appreciate all of you that are here before the voice gives out. And I will try to be back. Between Two Beards is definitely happening this week. Randon and I will make that show happen. And I leave for Denver tomorrow. Yes, I know. I'm just a glutton for punishment. I went out to Denver one time before this year. We all know what happened last time I was in Denver. But I got to go back out to Denver as well. So it could be a road show, but we will make sure that we can make that happen. Tim Brown coming in. Rob, glad that you were back, and congratulations on your new position at work. Appreciate that, Tim. Really do. Derek Pippin coining the term, the fan base. I freaking love that. The fan base is here. That's good. The fan base is all here. Randall Riley says, it's the fam, beat chat and content. Best chat and content on YouTube, bar none. CJ Gray is in the building. CJ Gray, good to see you, my friend. I hope you've been well. He says it was off the rails after the KC game. Dude, I can't even imagine. I'm sorry. I wasn't here as a voice of reason. I'll be honest, though. I don't know that I would have been a voice of reason at that point. It was bleak. No doubt about that. I still would have been my usual positive self. And it would have been hard to actually get up for that one after that shellacking. John Perez, you got to watch the beginning. He says, Rob, where you been? It has been rough. I had my birthday. I got tossed off a horse. I got COVID. I got a new job. These things have piled up, and it created a whirlwind. Daniel Garcia doing the good deed, asking folks to hit that like button. I appreciate that, Daniel. I am trying to send up the signal on a previously unexplored time slot for me. We may be looking at some late night Niner content here, ladies and gentlemen. Silverado Kev, Rob Shu, having CMC and Debo kind of compare it to when we have KD, and we had the luxury of either KD or Steph on the court to run the offense through them. Can't wait to see the personnel grouping. I must agree, even as a Blazers fan, Kev, I have to concede that that particular lineup for the Warriors, was tough to beat. And I do think that that's the advantage of having both of those unguardable players. Jaguayo 56, Rob, honest thoughts on Verrett's health moving forward. Any chance on getting a D tackle, or do we go with what we got? Just answered the D tackle one. I'm sticking with we go with what we got. Jason Verrett's health, that one's tough and so wildly unpredictable. I will say that I know I'm being overly optimistic here. I feel like the dude is due. I feel like the universe freaking owes that guy. Like, how much has he fought through to come back? How much heart has he shown? Like, life owes that man. I realize life doesn't owe anybody anything. Life is cold and nature is cold, and them's just the facts. But I tell you what, like, you watch a guy like Jason Verrett fight through everything that he has, continue to come back, be an inspiration to the rest of the team. And if someone deserves having earned health, I think Jason Verrett has earned it. So I'm hopeful, and I know I'm probably foolish to be so. One Bad Niner says, Rob Shue, didn't a horse take out Superman? Thank God you are well. It's not a laughing matter. It did take out Christopher Reeves. And yeah, honestly, I was tossed, and had I landed in any different way or a couple of inches differently, where that rock hit me in the back of the head and the size of that lump and the concussion that I had immediately following it lead me to believe I got very lucky. Michael Salazar says, Rob, O-line and Jimmy are the most inconsistent. That is true. At least there's an excuse for the O-line and their youth. Frank coming in, Rob, I agree. Jimmy's very lucky that CMC will be there to help him out. By the way, just saw this. Sorry, Raphael5629ers, Sneakerhead here on the channel. Thank you for the super chat. That is very kind of you. It says, great show, Rob. Glad you're back. Appreciate you, Raphael. Appreciate everybody that's here, but absolutely love the super chat. Thank you so much for that. All right, Nick, Money, Meyer, Rob, glad you're back and feeling better. Told you about the trade last year, brother. CMC, let's go. The gold rush on offense and on D. That's clever. I like that, Nick. DJ Molly, Rob, the team will be on an emotional high with returning players and the addition of CMC. We're rolling with positivity. Let's do it. Let's roll that positivity into a better than 7-2 finish. Sean 9519er Sneakerhead here on the channel. Rob, I was so dejected by the Falcons and Chiefs games, and we own the Rams, so I hope to get back the injured. Wait, let me start that again. Rob, I was so dejected by the Falcons and Chiefs game, and we own the Rams. I so hope we get back the injured players for the Chargers, and if we score 30 plus a game, we will not lose. 20 or less, we're in trouble. So Sean, I am garnering from that you're still a little concerned about the defense after what you've seen the last couple of weeks. And honestly, that's not crazy. I mean, I get it. I get having those question marks after what we saw. The Stivers Niner 209 show. Rob, let's put the chips are in. The Niners won the Super Bowl. Bring back the 6th Lombardi. I'm all for it. Cisco 1946. Rob Shue, can we count on Jimmy G throwing an interception? Oh, we can count on Jimmy G throwing an interception in every game. Don't want to sound negative, but McGlinchey is the Jimmy G of the O-line, allowing 1 to 2 sacks per game. Coach needs to fix this. I will say this. I think that the criticism of Mike McGlinchey is both warranted and overdone, which is weird to say. His errors are so egregious that I think he earns the criticism. Like the mental lapses in particular, sometimes that you've seen recently, are brutal, absolutely brutal. And when you look at the level of consistency and the number of times that he makes those mistakes, it is more sparing than the reaction would lead you to believe. Kevin says, you're going to mention the Sue thing. I think he'll be a good one before your voice goes, I want Sue. I would not be opposed to it. I just do not believe that the 49ers are going to make that move. I would not object to it. I saw earlier the comment, someone saying that he doesn't want to play. I've not seen that notification, so I can't speak to that. I can't speak to anything Ndamukong Suh may be feeling. I will say this, that I bump into the dude at the Whole Foods that's 2 blocks from my house right here. The guy, his folks live here in Portland, and in the offseason, he would come back here, and it was just a couple of years ago that I saw him last. So if I bump into him, you can rest assured I'll let him know, hey, he should come back, and he should play for the Niners, and he should play a distraction-free football game so that he's not a distraction to the team. All right, my voice is giving out. This was great to be back on. I'm thrilled to have been able to talk for an hour. I will be back on. Again, I'm not going anywhere. Thank you all for the enthusiasm, for the chats, again, for the emails, for the well wishes, for the tweets. Honestly, like, that means a great deal to me, and I just want to take another moment and say thank you for it. I look forward to being back. The shows are not going anywhere. I'm going to continue to have on your favorite guests. I'm going to lean harder on the guests, and I think that's going to end up being a real positive thing. So look for exciting new guests. I've had a reinvigoration about getting back into some collaborations with folks that have fallen off, and I'm not going to allow that anymore. So Silverado Kev, man, if you're watching right now, please reach out. I would love to get a show going again. I've got a couple others on deck, and I will make that happen. Crazy Otto, thank you for coming in. Thank you for the well wishes. I appreciate the hugs that you're passing around. I will be back on hopefully tomorrow with Between Two Beers. I'm going to work with Randon to find a time for that. Again, I will be on the road in Denver for the remainder of the week, but still look to see those shows rolling in. I'll be back in the home base for the weekend. You can rest assured that there will be shows happening. Again, thank you everyone for coming in. Randall Riley says, damn good to see you, Rob. We've missed you. Damn good to see all of you in the comments as well. I have missed all of you as well. Thank you, CJ. I really appreciate it. Honestly, like 44 years young, man, and still loving this. Hope that I go another year without going 13 days without a live stream. So I hope I can keep that streak alive for another year and not take that time off. So thank you to everyone. I will be back. And until then, you know the drill. Cheers, faithful.